What up, gamers, and welcome back to another dual blade guide, and this time it's actually the combat guide. And as you can see in the background, we already have the little card set up for me to demonstrate what's going on. Yes, I will talk about basically everything regarding this weapon in here and everything that I can think of anyways that you need to figure out or need to know about to optimize your gameplay. So first of all, we'll look at stances, because it's kind of a big thing. Let me go into the light because it's nicer. Kind of a big thing on dual blade that you have a couple of different stances. So first stance is the normal stance, and you never really want to be in this. There's not really a whole lot going on. Even the sheath, although it's the best part of it, the unsheath attack, which is this, it's quite fast. Even that one is bad. Like, you basically never want to be in this stance. Even if the unsheath attack is okay, but there's way better options. So let's talk about the first stance, and the most obvious one is demon mode. A lot of people ask me also which button that is. It's just my mouse button, a thumb mouse button for this. Demon mode continuously drains your stamina and also basically changes everything about your character. First of all, on demon mode, your dodge is different. It's very fast, but you don't even roll anymore. That's pretty important because there's another stance that we'll get into later that requires you to dodge perfectly, actually. So, demon mode is the first thing that you kind of need to learn. Stamina management important, so any stamina traits, any consumables you can have is always good for this. Generally speaking, though, if you are endgame or, you know, close to it, there's gonna be much less stamina issues. As you can see, my stamina drains very slowly at the moment. So, the way you use this is very simple. There's a couple of combos you need to learn. First is just left clicking, or for any other controller, it's probably also just one button. Demon Fangs into 2-fold Demon Slash into 6-fold Demon Slash. That is your standard left click demon mode combo. It does decent damage, but the most important thing, it charges the meter on the left, at the top left, right there. The most famous combo is the Blade Dance combo, where you stand around and you swing your blades around and it's blasting everywhere and it does a lot of damage. But as you can see on the top left, that drained the meter, which was not the case in previous Monster Hunter games, by the way. So that's your bread and butter. It's basically your left click and your blade dance. That's the noob demon. The noob dual blade player will just do these two and that's it. But there's much more to it. So first of all, for mobility, you have another option here. Well, yeah, let me get my stamina back. You have your Demon Flurry Rush, which is a movement tool that doesn't have any iframes on it, by the way, that does damage while you move. So it's a very common tool. It also charges your meter again, so that's pretty good. And it has a follow-up. If you keep pressing that same button, round slash into double round slash, which also charges your meter. So that can be used for charging meter. Also, something good about the second part of this, it reaches relatively high. If a head of monsters above you or something, not a bad thing to use. I'm not really a big fan of the follow-up, but I'm a big fan of the movement tool. Then you have another combo. This is a combo that is kind of new and is also very potent. That I'm not using enough because, well, there's a couple reasons, but let's do it. You start with the Blade Dance just per usual, but then you spam the button that does your demon mode. It looks like this. This combo does significantly more damage than the usual Blade Dance combo because it implements Blade Dance into Demon Flurry. It's a much more complex, longer combo that does more damage, but there's more to it. Because Demon Flurry is actually an attack that allows you to move during it, although the game itself doesn't tell you. So if you start your usual Blade Dance and then you press that button, if you press W during the Demon Flurry parts, you move. Now you can obviously also pair that with your focus mode. Is kind of important to talk about, because during focus mode you can actually change direction of things, right? If I do this, then during the movement here, I can actually move around something as well, right? So I don't only have to go in a straight line. I can also just move around the monster, maybe. Maybe that's my idea. Maybe I can move around it a little bit while I'm doing the entire combo, right? Very useful to have, very useful to know, and very useful to pair that with your focus mode. Focus mode in general, we can talk about very quickly. It's kind of different on console, I think, but not really. generally what you need to know is you can change direction of basically everything you're doing now. So that makes Dual Blade a lot better too. Even in long combos, you can literally just turn around and you know, dodge things. Maybe the boss moves and you need to hit like he's behind you now, you can just turn around, right? It's very easy, very straightforward, but it's very useful, okay? Use your focus mode to redirect your attacks, even your movement stuff, right? Like I can go here. Oh, I'm changing direction, right? Mid ability, I can change direction. And then he moves somewhere else. Very useful, very important to know, okay? Those are the most important things about the demon mode, I think, besides the dodge. We'll get into that in a second. But you need to charge a meter for Archdemon mode. And you have like 4-ish combos that you do during demon mode that are all useful. Demon mode is always useful to have on, right? So, what is Archdemon mode? What is this meter on the left even doing that I'm charging up? Well, if you're not in demon mode anymore, so it's not draining, you're in Archdemon mode now. So your normal stance gets replaced by Archdemon mode stance. That's why you never really are in normal stance if you're playing it properly, right? What that does is basically your normal left click attack is still the same dog shit, so don't use that. But everything else was changed now. So if I just press right click, just like in demon mode, it also does Demon Flurry Rush. And also has the follow-up, just like in demon mode. This is like, it's like a soft demon mode. It's not quite as as far as demon mode, because the second part of the Demon Flurry Rush, the second round slash, you don't have in this. It's like a light mode. It's like light demon mode, but it doesn't consume stamina. And that's important, because here in this mode you can be in here forever, although it slowly drains the meter. So with every demon mode attack you do in your normal stance, you will now drain the meter a little bit, right? And also over time a little bit. To recharge it, obviously, once again, you go into demon mode, you charge it back up, and you're good to go. And also good to know is, maybe one last thing about demon mode, if you sheath your weapons, you're not in demon mode anymore. Ever. So be careful if you want to stay in demon mode, but you press shift accidentally, or whatever it is, what button you have or what controller you have that sheaths the weapon, it's gone. And it's also important for the next stance as well. But let's stay on Archdemon mode for a second. You also have another new mode, which is Demon Flurry. As you can see in the top right, Demon Flurry, it replaces the keybind for your Blade Dance in demon mode. But there's more to it. So that's basically the attacks that get added into the Blade Dance combo that we talked about. The long combo, those are these attacks that get added usually. But obviously in Archdemon mode, you can't do that, because Archdemon mode is just a light mode of demon mode. But that one has a very important tool that lets you go into demon mode. And that is, you do the Demon Flurry as you usually would, and then you, at the very end, you press your demon mode button, which does the last part of the Blade Dance 3, and instantly, oh, turns you into demon mode again. As you can see, my stamina is draining. There's a very easy tool that to get from Archdemon mode back into demon mode without having to press this clunky buff up button, right? It's a very important tool. Probably one of maybe the most important Archdemon mode tool, in my opinion, is the Demon Flurry into Blade Dance. Very useful. And then you can charge up the Archdemon mode again, right? Super useful, very important to use. And it also does good damage, so that's also pretty important. That's kind of the easy part done now. Let's talk about the third, or I guess fourth stance, which is the dodge stance. First thing to note, you cannot get into the stance when you're in the normal stance. Or if you have your weapon sheath, which but right now I'm just using that because I have Archdemon mode on, right? If you don't have your weapon out, or if you are in the normal stance without Archdemon or demon mode, you cannot get into the dodge stance. Doesn't work. If I unsheath this now and I'm in Archdemon mode, I can get the perfect dodge. Same goes for demon mode, works the exact same, okay? This basically gives you a 20-25 second buff to your attack. Relatively significant, by the way, so having this up is really useful. Top left, you can see a little icon with the buff going. And it does one more very important thing, if I can get it. And that is, it enhances your dodge. So your dodge now does damage around you while you dodge. Yeah. But not only that, it also gives you a follow-up attack. Same thing, by the way, while we're at it. If you sheath your weapon, it's gone again, just like demon mode. So very important again. Right now I don't even have a food buff, so the more stamina you have on this weapon, the better. Okay, it's always good. Whenever you press your normal attack button, after the dodge, you get an additional dash without it consuming any stamina, but it obviously also doesn't have an iframe. Actually, you know what? I do have some rations on me. Let's just fix that for a second so it's a little bit easier to show. And that's why also I like having like all of the stamina attributes, because in this dodge mode you have a lot of mobility. Also, again, utilize your focus mode. Also, you can also change directions. So it's very important in this mode to utilize your dodge and then also the next attack after. It gives you a lot of mobility. It gives you a big attack boost. It's very nice to have. Especially also if you are in Archdemon mode, which I am right now, makes it a lot easier. Because now my stamina isn't draining, right? Because I'm not in demon mode. I have this for a long time. I don't ever have to sheath. I'm never running into stamina issues. Nice. If your Archdemon meter depletes during it, you also lose it. So, again, in normal stance, you can never have dodge stance. Okay, you can never get the dodge form. You can only have it during demon mode or Archdemon mode. Very important too. Because sometimes you will run out during it and then it's just gone all of a sudden. Okay. So now you can combine that with the third attack, which is Demon Flurry Rush, right? You can dodge into attack, into another attack, and you have a lot of mobility all of a sudden. Again, this is even easier to use in the Archdemon mode because you don't have to look at your stamina as much, but it's very useful to have. Keep in mind though, this does drain your Archdemon meter, so you can't spam it too much before going back. But we just learned that there is a combo that lets you go back into the demon mode without doing this annoying buff, right? And that is very useful here too. So if you're out of this form, the Demon Flurry twice and then into Blade Dance 3 and you're back into the demon mode to get your meter back. Very important, again. Also, one more bonus tip for the dodge stance, let's call it. Continuous effects like the La Barina flower petal thing, or like Kongala's farting around or something. It's very easy to get a perfect dodge. You basically just dodge through those and you always get a perfect dodge, and therefore the dodge stands. So very nice bonus tip. Also something to talk about is the focus strike. It's probably one of the first things you get introduced to is the focus strike. This attack also has some movement on it and it doesn't cost you any stamina, so it's sometimes even useful as a movement tool, but most of the time you obviously want to use it on a wound. Now, there's a little bit of a problem with this weapon, and that is they kind of changed how, well, even the jump attack, this one, works on monsters, where if you hit too much, the damage gets significantly lowered, and it doesn't really do a whole lot of damage anymore. That same applies for the wound attack. If you apply this to a wound, and you do this little attack, only the first like 10 hits or so do actual damage, and everything else is kind of bad. But the bonus is a very long iframe. If you're fighting against bosses that you maybe struggle with, or maybe that you want to stag, you want to CC a little bit, hitting this strike is actually a good thing. If you're in a group, I wouldn't hit it as often, because I think other weapons have better focus strikes that you can utilize these wounds better. We can also talk about the slide attack, right? Which is kind of the similar thing, which is this here. Kind of the same Heavenly Blade Dance, they call it, but it's kind of the same thing as your focus strike. Second part, and there's a couple ways to get into this. Usually I like to sprint down a hill into normal attack. That's the easiest way. What you can also do is you can get into demon mode and right click to get into the same slide. And what's even more useful, and I think the most useful that people don't utilize enough, is off of a ledge like this. It's just a small one, but it's still useful. What you do is, if you're in demon mode, you just dodge into it, and you can do the same attack. Very useful as well. And there's one more way to do it. Maybe no more, but that's the only one I can think of right now. Off of your mount. We can talk about that for a second too. If you jump off of your mount, press demon mode and then your normal attack, you can also get this. Same attack. Heavenly Blade Dance. So there's a couple of ways to do your sick Levi combo, but again, it's not that good. Unfortunately, the bigger the monster, the worse it gets, kind of. But it kind of is also super satisfying, so I still use it a lot. But it's not that great, that's all I'm gonna say. Also, off of your mount or off of a ledge or anything is the mount attack. So if you jump and then left click usually is what I use to get a mount going. That's also very useful, does a lot of damage. Maybe you can spread out some wounds before you finish it. Basically a big CC, but your teammates do a little bit less damage during a mount. So also important to know. Also, and there's a third one. The third option to go off of your mount. It's just your usual Blade Dance input, which looks like this. And with this, you can actually also mount monsters. It's not as consistent, I think, as the normal version, but also useful to have. That is basically everything you need to know about this weapon. Stamina management, Archdemon meter management, and your dodge buff management. Those are the three things you need to keep in mind. And then you can move around, slice around as much as you want, utilize your focus mode, and make sure that you always have your stamina, your Archdemon meter, and your sharpness ready to go. Thanks for watching this video. I hope this helped. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.